Season 18 is finally upon us, everybody, and better late than never, we got the draft review coming out with like 1 day left in the week. So yeah, this is VBLS Season 18, the ultra super low tier format, with our lovely logo from our coach Weasley, depicting the incredible struggle between Calyrex Ice Rider and Primal Groudon, piloted by his Pichu Rider. Hey, those two look familiar. Huh. It's almost like I didn't upload it, but I actually won last season. Good job, me. So, gonna see if we can match our success last season, which I doubt. It was kind of a generational run, but we're gonna do our best and just give it all we got. I'll probably upload those playoff games eventually at some point, but today is not the day. So when I said super low tier, I meant super low tier. This is what the top end of the draft board looked like this time, with incredible top tiers such as Golurk, Zangoose, Greedent, and Cloyster. So basically what we ended up doing was taking last season's draft board and chopping, I don't remember what the highest guy was here, chopping everything off from like 6 points and above, and then re-tiering accordingly, and this is what you end up with. So this is a super reduced power format, the weakest one we've ever done as a league. So people are going to have to get pretty creative with their team building, drafting, and just trying to make things work with the scraps that are left behind. And there's definitely a couple good mons on this board. Well, not a couple. A good bit of good mons on this board. Obviously nothing fantastic here, because it is, all the bad Pokemon. But there's enough here to make a good team work and enough stuff to get creative with. And I think it's going to be a fun season, getting a lot of airtime for some of these less often seen guys. So we've already had a couple matches come in, and people have been in the kitchen. And I mean, you kind of have to with these guys. Like, who knows what set, what like the go-to, like what's a good example here? What is the go-to Miltank set? I don't know. We're going to have to figure that out. What is Graplock's most optimal moveset, an item combination? We will learn together as a league, and we will figure it out. In a format with a draft pool as strange as this one is, you kind of want to familiarize yourself with what the new normals are. So we have 5 different categories here: attack, physical bulk, special attack, special bulk, and speed with our histograms. And these are only based on mons that I think were 3 points and above. If you include all the shitters below that, it makes everything look way, way worse. And I mean, you're not really realistically going to be encountering those very often. And this is considering a Violite for NFEs, because a lot of the time you're going to show up and face them with a Violite. So anyways, these are the new averages we're looking at. 75, well, not averages, medians. 75 for attack, physical bulk of Golduck, 65 for special attack, special bulk of a Violite Slowpoke, and 65 speed. So definitely lower your expectations from last format. There's no Primal Groudon here. The maximum attack is 132. I wonder who has that. Maybe we'll see them later. We're looking at the type Pareto. Kind of somewhat similar to a normal season with those top 4 types, but down at the bottom you get some weirdness. Dragon, Fairy, Steel are very, very rare, and fighting is also surprisingly hard to come by, so might be the season of the normal type with how many there are and how few good answers there are. But enough of that. We are moving on to the picks for the Phoenix Suns Season 18 team. What are we going to lead it off with? Alright, we are starting off the draft with big old Crabominable. I wanted to go Centiskorch, but that got picked right before me, so we went with my backup. I've used Crabominable a couple times before. It's never really had that much time to shine, but this is the weakest format it's ever been allowed in, and I think its numbers start to really stand out when you look at this. So up here in the top left, this is a little bit different than I typically show it. Normally I just have it showing their raw attacks and like attack stat, bulk stats, speeds, and all that. But in this case, I don't really think that's completely relevant, because I mean, Crabominable's attack 132 is pretty high on average, but what I really wanted to stress here are the percentiles. So what this 100 means for attack is that Crabominable has the highest attack in the format. So it's the 100th percentile. As for its speed, it actually has a speed stat of 43, but that's the 30th percentile. So what that means is that it's only going to be faster than 30% of mons, and 70% of mons are going to be faster than it. So with that kind of speed breakdown, it's pretty good in Trick Room, but it can also function in Tailwind, which is a nice area to be at. It can lower its own speed with Ice Hammer. But what Crabominable is really here to do on the team is just hit things really, really hard. Ice and Fighting is an incredible stab combo. It might be the best stab combo in the format. I actually didn't look into that for this analysis, but Yeah, ice and fighting is really hard to resist, especially when you've got 120 power move, close combat, 100 base power move, and ice hammer, which can be boosted by Iron Fist up to 120 because there's also not many Intimidators left in the format, so you don't have to run Hypercutter every week like I have in the past when I've run Grumble. So Grumble's going to be just showing up, clicking buttons, and killing things, and hopefully running up that kill leaderboard. Pick number 2 is a little bit of an oddball. We have Unpheasant, who is a mon who I've never thought about until this season. What does this thing offer to the team, and why did I pick it? Well, if you want to look up there at the numbers, this thing is pretty good in terms of attack and speed. 115 attack is 96th percentile, and 93 speed is 91st percentile, so that's kind of as good as you're going to get with a lot of these mons, right? Normally, those base stats are pretty bad, but in this format, it's looking a whole lot better. So Unpheasant F offers me a good Tailwind setter, a pretty powerful attacker with its normal and flying combo, because you're allowed to use return because this is Natdex, so you have a good reliable stab option there. This mon got a big buff in Gen 8 when it finally got Brave Bird, so it can actually live up to its expectations that people, well, I don't know if anybody ever really had any expectations for this thing. But it's also nice because it gives me a good source of taunt, which I was severely lacking last season, and I really felt that. But it also has a nice little synergy with Super Luck into Crab's third ability, Anger Point. So if I want to do some self-targeting stuff there, I can do that and just have a good time. But yeah, Unpheasant's a pretty decent pick. I think it's going to do well here with not many things to resist normal and flying, and just click Tailwind and click buttons until it dies. Pick 3 is another mon that I never really thought about before. It's Veluza. I know I have seen this thing do some work in other formats before, so this is probably one of the better low-tier options we have available still on the board. This thing has a couple cool niches that it gets to do. It's a pretty powerful attacker with sharpness boosted, Aqua Cutter, and Psycho Cut. It's definitely no Gallade, but I mean, the Gallade's not on this board, so we're gonna make do with what we can. So on top of that, it gives me a nice source of priority, which my team doesn't really have up until now. I guess Unpheasant learns priority, I actually didn't notice that. But the really fun thing about Veluza is that nice, juicy final gambit off of a solid 90 base HP. I think there's only 30-something mons in the format that have higher than base 90, so that's just a one-hit delete button on anything in the format I want. And then a lot of the guys higher than that honestly match up pretty poorly into Veluza, so it's a pretty potent offensive threat. And always nice to have just the ability to, hey, let me just trade 1-for-1 against your most problematic mon with my little silly fish guy. So I think Veluza's going to put in a lot of work. We'll have to see how we make do with it. For our pick number 4, we have the most powerful special ground type in the format. This thing's got the special attack stat of Groudon, so definitely don't mess around with this guy. We've got a nice, solid Trick Room attacker here. Base 35 speed is really slow. That's a big difference there between Crab and Palisand. It's only 8 points on paper, but it's 13 percentile, so pretty tough to underspeed this guy in Trick Room. Very, very tough to get rid of with that water compaction ability. You can synergize with Veluza there. You can do either a fast surf or an Aqua Jet if you're in Trick Room already, something like that. Just become very tough to deal with, especially because one thing I didn't mention is just this format has no special attackers, so it's really hard to find anything super specially powerful. So Palisand's kind of a nice combo in that it is one of those good special attackers, and it has a really good defensive profile and an ability to boost its regular physical defense even higher to just become unkillable. So the plan is for Palisand to stick around, click Earth Power, click Scorching Sands, get some burns, and just make everyone's life miserable. Except for mine, because he's a cutie. Pick number 5. I wanted to go with Arbok here, but I got sniped again. But I think this probably turned out for the best. Stantler is really just solid roll compaction here. Look at all these little boxes it fills in. I didn't know it got priority. That's actually news to me. It must be Quick Attack or something. But it's a very bulky Intimidator that learns Trick Room and a bunch of other status moves. Being a lovely, fully evolved Pokemon that can hold a Violet is pretty cool. Gives it lots of extra bulk that it was never meant to have. Has a great move pool on top of that. On top of those options I have listed over there, it just learns move from like every different type. It's crazy. You can also do some fun Psy-Shield Bash stuff if you want to bulk yourself up against all the myriad of physical attackers. If Intimidate wasn't enough for you, you can also do that. But Stantler is a pretty unassuming guy who I think can really pull his weight, because not only are the defenses really good, the attack stats are also really good. This might be on average the best Pokemon on my team just in terms of raw numbers. Like it's like at or above 80th percentile for everything. And the only one that's below that is defense, which, hey, you got Intimidate. So it's basically just the best mon in the game. So we're going to see how Stantler does. Good Trick Room Setter really helps some of my slower guys here, but also has a good speed by its own, where if I want to run more offensive, which you totally can, it doesn't need to even bother with that. Pick number 6, we have Morgrim. One of the not Morgrim. this is Morgrim's son. Impidimp, that's his name. He is one of the few pranksters left in the format. Fake Out, gotta love it. Then, look at all these prankster options. Prankster Taunt, Prankster T-Wave. You can flatter your teammates. You could use dual screens. And this guy also gets Parting Shot. So, Impidimp's not really going to stick around for long. This thing's bulk is pitiful. Its offenses are terrible. But all you need is a Focus Sash in Foul Play, and you've got a real mon there. When everything in the format is physically biased, Foul Play turns into a real option almost all the time. So Impidimp's, you know what Impidimp's going to do. He's going to click a million different status moves, Fake Out, Foul Play, and he's going to get the job done. Just like his daddy Grimmsnarl. Pick number 7. This is a mon that I was considering picking earlier into the draft, but I decided to hold off for a while and then realized that no one else was going for it, so I might as well just blow all my points and get Pyroar. Super fast and super strong for this format. One of the highest special attacks here. 98th percentile is crazy, and hey, same thing for speed. So what does Pyroar do? Pyroar shows up to the match and clicks Hyper Voice over and over because there's no steel types. And even if there's a Terra Steel, hit him with Overheat and call it a day. Pyroar is just straight up offense in the purest form. Fire is it's a very useful type. You always hate not having a fire type. So gotta make sure you pick that up. And that adds a third normal type to my team, which normally would be like that would be like unconscionable most drafts, but again, this is super low tier. You gotta make do with what you got. At this point in the draft, I think it was only Pyroar and maybe Flareon were the only two fully evolved fire types left. It was either going to be Pyroar or Crocalor, and Pyroar's a bit better. Speaking of middle stage starter Pokemon, we have Servine. Servine is very, very budget superior. But honestly, when you look at it, it's not that different. The speed stat is definitely not as good as Superior for the format. Superior, that's like the one main draw, obviously. But the cool thing is that for being a middle stage, its special attack only goes down by 15 points from 75 to 60. So it doesn't make that much of a difference when you're maxing it out and clicking Leaf Storm over and over again. So there's not many things that can stand up to a super contrary boosted Leaf Storm in a regular format. And then when you consider that like everything's bad, it looks even more appealing. Also, it's a pretty decent speed tier, and we got that nice glare, which is part of the reason why I wanted Arbok initially, but just got to pick a different snake, I guess. I guess I'll use Arbok some other day, but we have Smugleaf Jr. joining the team, fulfilling the role that his father did 2 seasons ago. So we will see if it lives up to the stacked pedigree that Superior has. Pick number 9. I've actually drafted this guy before. It's Magnemite. So Magnemite was one of the 2 super, super cheap one-pointers I got. But when I was looking through the board, there was something specifically that I wanted for my one-point guys, and I think it's gonna make a pretty big difference here. The one-pointers that I got are super valuable in that they both, spoiler, have Sturdy. Part of the problem with drafting such cheap guys and NFEs is that they really just can't stand up to most fully evolved Pokemon. And a big part of that is just their defensive stats. They just don't work. Like, look at that. Remember, this is factoring in the Eviolite, which, who would you rather hold the Eviolite, Magnemite or Stantler? With the Eviolite factored in, it's still below average physical bulk and horrible special bulk. And its speed is pretty bad too. But what makes Magnemite so great is that sturdy ability, just built in. I've got the Focus Sash already. You can give the actual Focus Sash to Unfezant or something. You can give the Eviolite to Stantler, and he's got one built in. Super easy. Put Specs or Scarf on this guy. I don't know if... We'll see if Scarf ever makes it. That seems kind of crazy, but it's an option. And the cool thing here is, look at that special attack stat. 92 percentile? That's crazy, especially for a little baby like this. Gives me nice coverage into water types, which previously had looked... Before these last 2 picks, they looked really good into my team. This also helps me with the flyers who, again, I, before this point, really only have Crabominable to deal with, but you don't really want to be facing down a bunch of birds with your Crabominable unless you're ready to tarry it, which you will be doing a lot of the time, but again, it's nice to have another option. And Magnemite fills that role very well. I think it's a very, very capable attack. It's super viable attacker, very capable, and I've used it before in the Little Cup season, and it did great there, so what's 45 extra levels, huh? Pick number 10 is the other sturdy one-pointer I got. It's Tyrant. Hooray! He's so cute, isn't he? Not quite as strong as Magnemite, but a good bit faster, and on the physical side, gives me a nice Rock Slide user and a Dragon type. You don't get many Dragon types in this format, so honestly, just putting a Scarf on this guy because, hey, again, he's got sturdy. Put Scarf on him, Terra Dragon, click Outrage, and you're probably going to do a good bit of damage considering that nothing's a Steel or a Fairy type here. Nothing really too fancy here. Tyrant doesn't really have a bunch of crazy options, but what he does have, I think, is just what this team needs. And for the last pick, we have Little Old Prinplup. This is kind of the throwaway pick of the draft. This was 3 points. I probably could have. I'm actually considering going around my rule of no mid-season transactions here and dropping him for. I guess we'll see if I end up doing that. But I mainly picked Prinplup just because competitive is good. A good bulky Scald user is pretty good. Side Aqua Jet into Palisand is pretty good. Roost is pretty good. It's just kind of the pretty good mon. So we'll see if Prinplup sticks on the team, makes an appearance 1 week. Who knows? But yeah, that is the Season 18 draft review. Better late than never. That's what I'm telling myself at least. So I have my first week game tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. Don't know if I'll be able to record it because I'm sure those of you who know me, I've been pretty busy lately, and that's not going to change anytime soon. So yeah, that's that. I'll see you when I see you. Maybe you'll see the Season 17 playoffs movie eventually. But until then, I'll see you in the next one. Later.